Hello, my name is Janelle Schroeder. I have been with InterSense for about 2.5 years now, manager of regulatory affairs. This includes registering products with the different territories that we sell them in, but also EPR falls to me as a regulatory thing, I guess. So, yeah.
Well,
My
thank you again.
experience is just the same as all of yours, I would assume, in that EPR is new in this. I'm in the personal care business, so it's new in personal care in the United States. So, yeah, fresh and minty.
Well, thank you, Janelle. We appreciate it. So let me just start off by asking, what surprised you most about EPR compliance, like in the beauty and personal care arena?
I think it was the amount of data that needed to be collected about each different packaging component and what data do you need for which state. So it's a lot. You need to know the material types, the weights, and sometimes the dimensions of the packaging component. And then you need sales numbers and from both yourself and your retail partners, which that's the hardest part for me so far.
Yeah, I would say that like I've talked to so many brands across so many industry verticals, and you're right. I mean, and was it Oregon and Colorado? You got about 60 covered material categories that look at kind of total gross weight or tonnage. And then you got California that has 90 some that not only in the general categories, but then you got to count the number of plastic components and the weight of those plastic components. So not surprised that you were surprised by the amount of data lift, but certainly I think is on the hearts and minds of a lot of folks that are just kind of staring down this thing as well. So with that background, like where did you get stuck? I guess would be another good question.
Well, we were already working with Repurpose Global for plastic neutral certification, and we were used to reporting about our plastic components. The challenge for me was adding in the non-plastic components to the workbook. That includes maybe metal components or paper, unit cartons and things like that. So trying to expand what I already knew about my packaging to include things outside of plastic. And now, with EPR, we really are focusing more on plastic than ever before. So.
Yeah, and I would say that like you guys kind of had a leg up, right? You were already kind of in this kind of plastic footprinting through our plastic neutral program, and we appreciate that and all the great work that enables. But yeah, like when you think about all these other categories from metal to cardboard and glass, yeah, it's a lot to track down. Like you said, depending on how complex your distribution chain is, right? Like that's a lot of data to track down, to my point earlier, which is like, please do not wait. I think Janelle could confirm this is a very time intensive lift.
Mm-hmm.
So what worked well in your process as you kind of started to lay out your process here?
Well, getting started right away, don't delay, look into what it is that you need to get gathered, and then find out quickly, try to determine who has that information. Is it your packaging house? Is it somebody in the warehouse? Who helps you gather this information? Because not all of it is just readily available as a resource already in your job. But yeah, for me, it was just having a good relationship with the packaging house and be able to send them an email and saying, hey, this is what I don't know. They're asking me for this stuff. Do you know anything about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I think relationships are key, both with suppliers and those that you rely on, but also, yeah, like whether it's experts like our team that can help you, it's like you may have to decode what it is that they're even asking for and why. So yeah, I think definitely a good call out there. So given that we have a great collection of brands and brand advocates and all kinds of different people on the call today, like what would you tell them as they start their EPR journey or they continue and where they're at?
Yeah, I say stay on top of it. Don't wait a day, because the answer you need might take 2 weeks or more from somebody else to get it. Maybe they have to go overseas to an overseas supplier to get that documentation for you to truly know what it is that your packaging is made out of and how it applies to these EPR different laws. If you need to, ask your warehouse to give you weights and dims, it might be considered a special project and they may need time to do that. They can't just jump in and go, oh, let me just go away something for you. They've got to find it. They've got to ensure that it's the right piece. And that takes time. That takes them away from their everyday thing. This is a special project, you know. Another thing is that might delay is if you need an NDA with your packaging house, or if they need one with their supplier to answer those questions. So yeah, it's not just, you know, oh, I have it. You know, once you've got it, then this problem kind of goes away. You just need sales numbers and you can sort of figure it out a lot quicker. But in the beginning, you definitely need more time than you think you need. Let's just say it that way.
I think it's well said, Janelle. The initial lift, right? We're all being asked this stuff for the first time in these very specific formats. I think over time, right, this gets easier. And we've seen that, right, in Canada, in these more mature programs. But like, yeah, I think we all underestimate the time required, and not waiting and just diving in is certainly a thing. And then I always kind of say, take a good hard look in the mirror, right? Like, identify where you genuinely have gaps so that you can ask for help. Because if you don't know where those are, you can't ask like and say, hey, I'm drowning here, I need some help.
Yeah.
So how are you handling the California, as I mentioned, right? We have this component level tracking. So how are you handling the California component tracking and multi-part packing, like the pumps and droppers and the different things that you guys carry?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's probably the hardest part is the pumps and sprayers, because they have so many different components and different materials in those components. We worked with Repurpose on the first round, getting ready for California, but I feel like I need to revisit that part. So I have drawings now and I can see it's not 3 components, it's more like 10, or in some cases, if you have a very complicated pump, it could be 20 components there. Maybe it's still only 3 or 4 materials, but it's individual pieces. And I'm not really sure what California is going after here, but if your pump has 20 pieces, are they expecting at some point someone will disassemble all of those pumps into the 20 different pieces? I don't know, but that's what they're asking. So my generic report of, say, 3 different materials maybe isn't enough. And I feel like I need to revisit that part of the California report. So.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, the breakout into the individual, Alyssa, would you agree that a lot of that is them trying to understand and really kind of falls towards the source reduction component of what California is getting at with that type of granular reporting?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel your pain, Janelle. I feel like the beauty industry has the hardest time with all of these components and subcomponents because you all have such complicated packaging. And I think that California is just trying to get their head, all the states are really about like what is actually going into their waste stream. And so you got to get super granular because they're trying to improve recycling rates. So they don't really understand how to do that unless they know the very specifics of what's going into the recycling stream at all. And then, yeah, as far as the source reduction piece, they want to know the super granular elements because the law, and this is like not CAI, this is like the state of California's regulation says that the total plastic footprint of the collective producer community needs to come down, looking at both weight and the number of pieces of plastic, because all those little pieces are so difficult to recycle. And so they're trying to incentivize that. So anyway, it comes back around to brands to have this super granular data. So thank you for doing your part in the stewardship by getting those drawings. And hopefully it drives change in the packaging industry where they can start to offer maybe simpler formats that are easier to recycle and becomes widely available, but they can't really solve those problems until they have a baseline for what's going on today.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good deal. Okay, so last question here. Just any general advice, given, again, just the immense amount of data, any advice for your fellow peers on the call when working with suppliers or retailers for the EPR data, Janelle?
Yeah, again, I keep saying it, but start early. Figure out what it is that you need to know, who can supply that information to you. And maybe, for example, copy and paste the exact question that's being asked so that they can interpret it themselves. Because when they ask me a question about layers in the plastic, is there a coating or something, I might not know what the answer is or be able to rephrase the question so to get the right answer, because I don't know what they're asking exactly. So if you take that exact copy and paste it, and then maybe set up a call and talk to them, because that can further help them to understand what it is that you think you need to get. Because I was
Right.
on the CAA call and I was on the call with Repurpose Global and I learned things. How do you translate that to your packaging supplier or your retailer so that they can, I mean, it's a lot of information. So when they come out with a workbook, CAA has workbooks and Repurpose has workbooks, they can help you gather that information. But you got to see it first, copy and paste the exact question, and then give them a call or set up a meeting to walk through it together so that they can, this is just in the beginning, again. And as you go to maybe try to do, change your packaging to meet some eco-modulation or meet the PCR requirements, that can help too. Just having that conversation, call somebody, seriously, talk to people.
Yeah, I think words matter, right? I think we all understand telephone is a fun game to play, but we know the outcomes is that if you don't use very specific things, like the end message could be misinterpreted, you're going to get wrong data, and it's going to make the process kind of inaccurate, which is going to require you to go back and fix things. So I think it's a good call out.
The good news is since this is new, everybody's doing the same thing, asking these same questions. As we go forward, packaging houses will be used to answering these questions and they will have those answers up front for you. So that's a good goal that we can look forward to.
Absolutely. Well said.